as a real estate agent, it automatically makes me feel really cringy when I say it's a good time to buy.
Do you want the mortgage to be the focus of your family? Or it's okay to rent right now and still have that balance of life?
Personal branding, how you present yourself, your specialty, right?
Yeah.
So when people have a need, they know that you're the person to go to.
Green and red.
What a comeback.
Jesus Christ.
What a comeback.
Yes, what a comeback. Take two. Well, we had 7 minutes of great content that you guys missed out on, but continue to watch because there's more good content coming.
So hopefully you get this uncut version where we ran on for 7 minutes and Vin didn't hit the record button on the board.
Good thing Evan caught it.
Yes.
At the 7-minute mark.
Right. I had a feeling.
How did you know?
I had a feeling. I'm like, wait a minute. It doesn't look red from here.
But, it's good because we didn't get into, like, the meat and potatoes yet. We kind of was just catching up with each other.
On the gravy.
That's good. I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah, there you go. So, just to kind of start over then. Well, hey, we were just really catching up with each other since we haven't seen each other for a while, and we were kind of getting to what you guys are doing personally and business-wise. Yeah,
time
catching
management.
up. Yeah, you were talking about being an Uber for your kids right now, and them being in high school.
How we can't relate, but we can't have an excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a mixed time, like I say, for those that are watching us and following us. Yeah. Being an entrepreneur, being in the business, it's really hard to find balance because we left 8 to 5 and to be 24/7. And now it is mixing in with our kids' schedule. I have both of my kids are in high school now. So being a business owner, a team leader, running projects, but also now, running a kids' schedule as well as they have, volleyball and then sports and then academic and then, their school, all that stuff mixed into our schedule. Now you really have to prioritize what you can make and what you cannot make and still be able to walk that balance of life. So yeah, it's been pretty interesting for me. I kind of getting myself to where I feel like I'm getting good at multitasking. You know what I mean? I was on a 5 Zoom call at one time.
Oh, God. I'm so Zoom fatigued.
Yeah.
You get me to do a Zoom meeting, I'm like, let's get coffee. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't do Zoom anymore. But I wanted to ask you, how do you prioritize to drop off the kids or this listing appointment?
Yeah, for Vin and I, we don't have kids, and
Yeah.
we feel like we barely have enough time in the day. But you have kids thrown in the mix and their schedules. Like, how do you balance all of that?
Yeah.
I know when a young person walk up to me and say, I don't have time to do this. And in my mind, I was like, no. I was like, hey, young Jedi, this is what you need to do. I think at the end of the day, you say prioritize, right? I think when I start planning out my day, I'll put into the priority of what I need to get done, what I can push towards back later. Paige knows I'm the master of that. If you send me a text message, I'll leave it unread until I know when I have time to get to that task. Because I have an idea what Paige is following up on. And
Bro, I got a hack for you. You can mark messages unread on your phone.
I know that. No, they literally add that feature for me.
No, I learned before when I used to text him and I don't get a response. I'm like, okay, he must be really busy. But homeboy has his phone in his hand 24/7. But I know his strategy where he does respond to it right away depending on what he needs to do.
Yeah.
So I know he sees it. So
That's prioritizing right there. Hey,
Exactly.
This message is not important.
Exactly. So I'm like, so I know you see my message.
Right,
So I
get
treat
it.
my text messages just like my Gmail, right? When I get up in the morning, I open an email by accident. It's like, oh, leave it back unread because I can't get to that
I'm
right
totally
now.
the same way. I use my email as basically like my to-do list. So if it's unread, it's to do, right?
So do you guys, for me, I know I do not respond to important emails on my phone. I am the type of person where I will wait until I'm settled down, sitting in front of my laptop to respond to emails. Do you guys do that? I don't respond on my phone.
I mean, I don't really consciously think that. I think that's great because that's shows that you're calculated and you have that buffer because sometimes we're so quick to react, right? Especially
that's
when
where
it's an
mistakes
important email,
happen. You
right?
leave out information.
So
That's why I have a tagline say I'm messaging on my iPhone. Sorry for that.
but to that point, I don't intentionally do what you do, which is let me chill on it. But what I do is if it's something that I know is important, I just make a phone call. I do that phone call right away because I feel like I can get the message across much better. And if I have to take the time to in person, then it gives me time to chill and breathe too, just like kind of what you're doing.
Does it bugs you? And it bugs me, especially with my kids watching this. They have no idea how busy I am. And when I ask them something, they text me back abbreviated.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
I'm like, oh my God, are you serious?
Nothing's worse than the
hate
text
abbreviations.
response when it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You can't even type out thank you?
bro, I recently I fired a client, a buyer that just said K to me. Sorry guys.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm like, look, I only have so much time, and what, like we were talking about, right? And I want to like the people I'm working with, and if you're talking to me one word answers and K, I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's funny because we go back to priority. I think when you're struggling to find balance, I think the best thing to do is, number one, you need to find more time.
Yeah.
So that means I have to create more time somehow, and that's from getting up early in the morning, sacrificing some of my early me time for the time being. Hopefully, I can balance that out at one point, and then start prioritizing, go down the list. So I call it crunch time. So whenever I have that crunch time, for example, we're running TOV right now. I mean, I haven't touched my bike early in the morning for like 2 months. And literally, I'm going into my me time to spare some time for all the things that I'm doing because I'm prioritizing, right?
your bike thinks you're cheating on her.
I know. I think so bad. I had to go
You're
down just to put
neglecting.
loop on it for
Oh my God.
just to keep her happy and come back. And I'll say, I'll come back.
Just let you know she's there. She's still there.
It's funny you say that because I actually do that.
I believe you.
I bet.
I'm pretty sure you sneak down there and talk to it in the middle of the night too.
I'm like, I'm wondering how many times Tina has been like, man, this guy is talking to his bike more than me. What the hell? Nah, I mean, I'm joking. But in any case, you were talking about with the prioritizing with Tove, right? And
Tove. I've never heard it.
I know because
You brought up abbreviations. I'm looking at you over
Young
here.
Jedi.
Insulting.
Get out of my recording room.
But Taste
TF?
of Vietnam, Taste of
Yes.
Vietnam is something that you guys have been working on
See,
a lot.
it only take
It
a
takes it-
nanosecond
yeah.
to say that.
Put some respect on our name.
My bad. Respect for Taste of Vietnam. And I mean, what is Taste of Vietnam for some people who haven't been following or paying attention?
Yeah. So I think Taste of Vietnam was designed as an event, a gala, to not only highlight food, fashion, and culture, but it's really a one night that we bring the community together, the top producer around the country, and to elevate our Vietnamese top producer. And I know there is a lot of award from a different organization like the NAR, the CAR, ARIA, and other associations. And I feel like why there's need to be another one. And VNARP understand that the only way that we can elevate our professional, creating a community to unite everyone, to share, to create a platform, even come together, network, trade best practices, and get a pulse on their real estate market around the country. And I think really is creating a platform, and the award just bringing everyone together. You know what I mean? So that's so-and-so receiving that award for being the top in volume, top in units, and he's Vietnamese. That's inspiring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did you guys start doing this? Did you just start doing the award stuff?
We started back in 2017.
2018.
18?
Yeah.
Okay.
I stand corrected.
Okay.
And so we start with a simple idea to say, hey, let's give them a award, come back, recognize them, and here, we are here, we have a platform, come share. And you don't know who you touch when you come receive that award. It's a simple thing that you think, oh, why? It's just another award. But, there's 500 attendees. There's got to be some life that you touch and say, one day I want to be up there receiving an award. Wow, that Vietnamese real estate broker or commercial guy that did that great deal. I want to know how he did it.
Yep.
And through there, you create leaders, you create top producer, you inspire others.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I haven't gone yet, and I'm gonna go. This is my fault, but I don't really care too much in general about like awards and things like that. But when you guys were starting putting out all those awards, I was like, damn it, I gotta work harder because I want to be included on that. And then I was seeing some top people that I've always been seeing in the industry.
It's more than
getting
that, Vin.
recognized.
It's more than that
Yeah.
because once we start putting out these awards, and these are the awards that are ranked by credible organizations.
Real Trends and Scotsman's Guide.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's not a data that we put out in the thin air. This is the people that are actually doing the work,
Yeah.
right? And being recognized, it just bringing Adam out to the spotlight.
Right.
And when they're somewhere in the country, people's like, I want to know a top a real estate broker or a commercial real estate broker, who do I talk to?
Yeah, because let's be real. I'm sorry.
There's a list now.
Yeah. Get
Yeah,
in there, man.
to be very candid too, because when you're looking at the list from Real Trends and Scotson's Guide, out of 100, the top 100, you can probably find one Vietnamese person on there.
Right.
So that's what we're doing. We're extracting that top Vietnamese producer and recognizing them because we want to show our community that it's possible.
That's
and
huge,
it's like we want to see more out of
Yeah.
that 100. We want to see, we want more market share.
Yeah.
And that's why we're highlighting, this type of event and going back to like why, we're volunteers. We're doing this event. Why? Time management priority, because if we're not doing it, who is? And we just really want to bring the community together. And this is the best platform and best way to bring people together, because how else will you meet, the top producer in Minnesota, the top producer in Sugar Land, Texas, We're bringing everyone to one spot and elevating this networking opportunity to the highest level. So they're going to leave feeling so empowered and so elevated. That's like, man, I want to see myself there, in the next 5 years. And it's possible because you got to see it to believe it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you're so right, because I immediately thought to Dat Nguyen. You know Dat Nguyen? He's an old football player
Yes.
for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But I don't think any Vietnamese person
No.
thought they could play football until they saw Dat Nguyen.
Exactly. Even
So-
though, I'm no offense, even though he wasn't great,
Yeah.
but he put us out there. It was representation.
Exactly, and that's kind of what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
'cause-
But I bet you this, there might not be the top 1 or 2 Vietnamese top producer in the country per Scotland Guy or Real Trend right now, but it will be later on
Yeah.
because of what we're doing.
Right.
Because now we're highlighting, we're elevating, we're raising the level of competition in the playground.
Right.
And this is where it's happening, and it's starting with us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the reason the whole thing behind it is far more than just one award that someone's receiving.
Yeah, and then how many years are you guys doing it now? 5?
This is our, so we started in 2017, and then we started the awards in 2018. And then because of pandemic, this is the return after 4 years. So this is Taste of Vietnam 4.
So here it is, guys. This
Our
will be-
blood, sweat, and tears.
Exactly, right here. So September 16th, right?
September 16th.
Down in SoCal, Fountain Valley.
Yeah, it's not an event; it's a production that we're putting together with every little details. Carefully thought of to make sure that the guests who are attending this event have full experience what Taste of Vietnam is all about. And the word taste in itself kind of give you it's self-explanatory. You have an idea. You got a taste of everything, including from food, fashion, culture, but also the atmosphere, the people that you meet. Really, this is a real taste.
We're starting to come up, man. I mean,
I know.
a lot of my friends are like, "What else is there besides pho?" And they're starting to see more of the culture. So I think it's pretty awesome.
Just to touch on that, I
Yeah.
saw the episode recently. I forget what show it was, but one of the chefs, I forget which country or where he was, but he had an accent. And he was very bold in presenting bung mam.
Oh,
I think his Instagram name was like
fermented
Yeah,
shrimp.
and then cause he took such a risk, but he
Right.
presented it and they loved it. And it's just for him, he was being authentic and true to himself. It's like, this
Right.
is where I'm from. This is my my dish, and I wasn't afraid to present it because why
That's
be
very
afraid?
bold
Very
move.
bold,
Very
and it was
bold.
very
I love it.
admirable. And then was it Thomas Eats or something? But I just saw that episode. I have to share it, but it's just him being authentic and
Right.
why. Yeah.
hey, you can't
Hey.
hide that nook mums.
No.
That's us. Don't be ashamed
You guys
of it.
have an idea what we're having for lunch today?
Bung mam, yes.
No, but that's the whole idea of Taste of Vietnam. And I really hope anyone who watches this episode, and I hope that we can edit this part and release it soon enough
Yes.
for people to experience this, because I get this all the time and it bugs me. But when we start planning the event, we promoting it, we want people to attend, but they don't go. And until the end.
Very end.
Very end, until we start posting the recap and like, oh my God, when is your next event?
Yeah. It's like, we've been telling you.
Yeah.
I also like one of my, we did a recent trailer the other day. I said, you do not want to miss this event. If you're in the industry, you want to get in the industry, you want to network, this is the event you want to be at.
Yeah.
Do not be that person that's going to end up reading about it
Yeah.
online and, wishing you were there. Because
Right.
when they say, I'll go next year. Truth be told, in 2019, they're like, we'll go there next year. What happened? We're in pandemic.
Yeah, totally.
Don't, just seize the moment and do, this is something for yourself, for
Yeah.
your business, for your community. Yeah.
Also, too, this probably after a long time going to OC, and it's gonna be a while to get back to OC again because we have so many other chapters that we're looking to bring this event to.
Yeah, he has that in Houston, right?
Yeah, we're going on tour.
So it's really difficult that someone say, "Hey, I'm loco, and I rather go hang out with my friends instead." They're gonna miss out this opportunity, right?
People like me he's what he's
Exactly.
trying to say.
We're looking at you right now, Vin.
Well, there's definitely FOMO engaged, that's for sure.
Well, I'll tell you right now. When did you plan your friends event? Because I tell you,
we have it every year. That's why.
Every year?
Every
Okay,
year,
all right.
so.
I give you an excuse.
Yeah, no, but FOMO is engaged for sure because I see what you guys say. Like everyone's always like, "Oh man," they don't find out until it's too late.
Our new tagline: "Come, be inspired."
Yeah.
And,
No, because it comes back to business, right? Because you're one conversation away, one connection away from a completely different trajectory. You could either make a deal, you can make a new connection. You can, who knows, that person could be a resource down the line, but you just
Totally.
have to show up if you're a business owner.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I want to add on something for those that are watching this video and newer to this business, and they feel like, why should I spend $350 to attend some event in OC? Is it even worth it? And let me give you one example. If you go out and interview top 10 top producer that doing in the hundred of millions in volume each year, ask them the top 5 things that contributed to your success. One of them is going to say networking.
Yep.
I bet you one thing they all going to say is networking. It's
Yes.
who you know, right? So you coming to OC where you have top producer, Vietnamese flying in, people like you.
Yeah.
I forget Vietnamese. People like you,
Yeah.
serve in the Vietnamese community in somewhat capacity and make their name through, starting from where we are at to hitting that volume, right? Meeting those people, the success. And guess what? When you make that connection and they from Houston, Texas, wherever it is, and they think about buying, selling real estate, your name will come up.
Yeah.
And that's where you can get your referral.
And I have no numbers to back this up, but I would put the Vietnamese community up against any other community as far as how many entrepreneurs we've got, how many businesses we've got. So it's not just like we're worker bees. I mean, we are in an aspect, but you meet so many people from the Vietnamese culture owning businesses and doing so many different things that, you're right. One conversation away can open up so much.
And going back to that too, because, business pre-pandemic, we were all very spoiled.
Yeah.
And then now you're seeing a lot of top producers. You have to go back to basics. A lot of leads in business, not low-hanging fruit anymore. You have to go out there and show your face. You have to be present.
Right.
So a lot of times people who are struggling, but if you're not doing, showing up, then then you're still struggling.
Yes.
So that's why it's like, people have to, I see more and more people come out now, as they should.
Yep.
But if you're still, doing...
Lenders are actually doing open houses.
Exactly.
Lenders are calling people.
Yes.
I'm like, whoa.
I mean, you're seeing builders calling you back now. Before they wouldn't pick up your phone calls. So a lot of things has changed, and you got to go with the times.
Exactly. And this is perfect for today's episode because that's what I kind of want to get into is that talking to a lot of people recently, I think we've always known real estate is our vehicle, right? Mm-hmm. But I think these days people more and more, I keep hearing myself like, I want to retire early or I need that passive income. So they're starting to get turned on to real estate finally, right? Freaking so late. But in any case, I'm meeting a lot of people that are trying to get into it. And the first thing they're always asking is, how do I find a deal? Yeah. Right. And we talked about this a lot before because we talked to Thatch in the past. He's done the old school, hit the pavement, door knocking type of thing. There's so many different ways that we've talked about, but we don't really talk about what we're doing and the nuances, right? Because I know you do things kind of like buyer seminars and things like that, and that's how you get a lot of leads. So I think for people who are watching, it's like, if you're just starting out, how do you get a deal? How do you find a deal? And even if you're not just starting out, just like people like us, we're always trying to create inventory to get that deal, right? So with that being said, with the numbers that we've gone over, even though we didn't, we weren't recording, what we were talking about basically was looking at the numbers here in the United States, the numbers of homes sold down, the number of housing supply, homes for sale down, new listings down, but prices are still kind of going up. So there's not inventory, but there's still action.
Still demand.
Right. So how do we help people or even if us, how are we in this market finding deals and creating inventory?
Well, it only means one thing: when you have sales down, supplies down, but the median price or the average price has somewhat steady and gone up a little bit in some area. More specifically, Silicon Valley, I feel like we're still going up, and it just go back to basic. That is supply and demand.
Right.
There's simply not enough supply for the demand that we have. And the demand here that we're talking about, or the buyer that just came out of the wood maybe in the last year, right? The people that prior to that, I think they tapped out already. If they missed the boat, they really missed the boat.
Yeah.
But I think people that are coming out now finally have the income, they have the demand, the needs that they need. For example, kids go to high school, elementary. I mean, most buyers that I'm talking to, and I actually do really enjoy going to open houses and have this sort of like a real deep conversation with my clients, or with people that come to the open house, and I say, hey, you have 5 minutes. I kind of want to take a survey. You know what I mean? And because I really want to understand where buyers are coming from, right? Yeah. So literally me there, going deep into a question that they never thought of. I say, hey, what made you decide to buy? You know what I mean? And, did you have a raise in your income? Literally that personal, right? Yeah. Did you have a raise in your income? What your wife do? What do you do? What do you drive to work? So and so, very deep. And in a sense, could really get us a really pulse of why buyers are buying this market at an almost 7% interest rate, where their cost to carry is a lot higher. Right. And rental-wise, is still much more better. Like you look at the rental market, it's still make more sense renting right now. A lot of younger generation folks right now thinking that renting is a thing. You know what I mean? But they kind of losing that home ownership drive, right? So when you're talking to all these buyers coming to the open house, you really have a gauge of understanding why they're still buying. Right. So these are people still truly understanding home ownership. You know what I mean? What's now? You can tell who really understand home ownership until they talk to their CPA. And because if they engineer together, a husband and wife making over 250K or 300K, they buying a house and the renting, they paying 2,000, 2,500, 3,200 right now, and they're going to be paying 6,000. That's a big jump. Yeah. But why are they buying? Yes. And I dig those things out, and I try to learn that the true buyers right now in this market really understand their tax advantages. Yeah.
No, I think in every market, there's the two buyers, right? Ones that really need it and the ones that don't. And I think this market just hyper accentuates that because of where the interest rates are. People never realize how rate sensitive they are, and with good reason, because prices or monthly payments have jumped like a few $100, right? So I can't blame them for not wanting to get into a $10,000 payment every month, like just for $1 million home or something like that. But I guess with that, there are people who are still looking, and they still know that even with these interest rates, they still want to buy.
That's crazy. 7.5?
7.5, bro. And that's a conventional loan.
Yeah. But I think this is a soft lending that the Fed's been talking about for so long, and by saying soft lending, meaning that security sell-off. Yeah. And that's going on this week, where you see such a increasing spike of interest rate. So I think once we go through this process of security sell-off, then the interest rate hopefully will come down. So I feel like right now this has to happen for us to be more balanced as far as what we're going on. But if you watching this video right now and you're balancing between buying a house or and I think right now, for the buyers have been searching for so long for something you want, maybe in the next month is your opportunity to buy. I know the interest rate is high, but it used to be, if the interest rate about 6% or less, we would have at least 10 to 15 offers. Yeah. But right now, we are listing getting 2 to 3 offers. Right. They're still good. They're still over asking price, but the competition level is lower because people are now waiting. So smart buyers know that, hey, buy now, refinance in a little bit later. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Calculate your holding cost, though. Yeah.
I'm not sure if you guys struggle with this, but as a real estate agent, it automatically makes me feel really cringy when I say it's a good time to buy. Yeah. Right? Because it's
cliche.
It's cliche. And really, buying is a personal thing for everybody, right? But when you are looking at the stats, when you are looking at, compared to a couple of years ago, there's only 5 offers versus 20 offers. List price over sales price isn't like, 150% anymore, right? It's maybe 1 or 2% over the list price right now, right? Does it still make sense with the higher payment with all the factors I just mentioned, it still makes sense to buy with the less competition, even though the interest rates are high.
I feel like only buy if you really your need you really have a true need,
Like when
and
you're
you
able
have
to.
you have a holding cost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I do not want to advise anyone that don't think of those things and then get into a homeownership. That's how it's happened back in '08.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I want to provide sustainable homeownership.
Yep.
So the only way to do that is to make sure that they do the numbers correctly.
Yeah, you don't
And
want to
job
be...
security is another thing that I want to look at too. Okay,
Right.
hey, how most likely you are going to stay at this job for the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah.
I asked that question, very personal, at the open house. I was like, how most likely you think, and then
What
we
if they
answer.
say no? We were like,
Then I say, get out of here, go rent for a while. No, seriously,
Yeah.
I kid you not.
Yeah,
Because if you're unsure about where you're going to be and how you're going to work situation is in the next 2 to 3 years, you shouldn't be buying right now.
Yeah, I mean, because those are very honest questions
Yes.
you have to ask yourself, right? Because if you aren't at yourself those questions, you're going to find yourself in trouble.
Yeah. You don't want to be house rich, money poor.
Exactly.
And honestly,
So at the end of the day, going back to life balance that we had earlier, we talked earlier, is that do you want the mortgage to be the one that be the focus of your family? Everyone have to work so hard to contribute to make that mortgage payment, or it's okay to rent right now and still have that balance of life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but if you have the needs, then it's totally different.
Right.
If you, like I mentioned, I'm working with a client right now. 3 doctors decided to buy together, right? The couple and then the sister, they decided to buy together. They have income that exceeding over 450 together. Imagine how much tax are they paying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So these people paychecks looks sad because they works a lot and it doesn't reflect to what's on their paycheck,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So because they're single, because they're young, no kids, and they say, yeah, you need a tax shelter, then this is making sense for you.
Yeah. I think people think when you buy real estate, you're automatically rich. But really, yeah, your net worth is higher, but you do have to sacrifice, right? You have to sacrifice a little bit, I feel like.
Your gross higher, your net's not higher.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny because me and my girlfriends actually had a conversation yesterday just about, cost of living and just everything that's, we're being affected with just going out and going to restaurants.
It's $30 for one person to eat.
No, it's funny because it's just something so random.
Breakfast.
But me and my girlfriends, they wanted to go to Monterey Bay Aquarium, and then they're like, "Oh, like we have a friend that's out of town. Like, do you want to go whale watching?" I'm the single one. I don't have kids, but they're like, "Oh, never mind. Whale watching for 3 people is $300." I'm like, you know what? I'll watch from the street.
Exactly.
And then they're like, "No, I'm actually gonna reconsider that." I thought it was, I don't really want to watch it that bad. So, but that just gives you, an idea. Is like now people are everything activities they have to rethink prioritize based on their finances, where before people were just spending money on just random stuff, but we're laughing for that for like a good 30 minutes. I was like, I'll watch from the street, like I'll watch from National Geographic Channel, whatever.
Totally.
It's like,
Yeah, they have an 8K TV now.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need a whale watch.
Some water to make it full effects.
Yeah, make
but-
some whale noises.
or just like you're just having to prioritize and reconsider. But the same thing is as people with kids, how do you afford, like we go out to eat, you have like 2-3 kids, you have extra mouths to feed. I just can't fathom that right now.
And that's exactly what's going on with the consumer spending confidence right now.
Yeah.
Because the consumer now are looking at what they want to spend on. We run an Airbnb operations. We noticed that homes are like vacations home. It's a huge drop in terms of demand because people are now saying, look, if I'm going to drive up the hill, $100 gas half a day and pay for Airbnb, just to walk on the beach. You know what I mean? So that's people really thinking on, how they want to spend their dollar.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to continue to happen before they gain that confidence again. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I mean, not to kind of go around in circles, I kind of want to put a button on this, but what do you think in the next 6 months by the end of the year, what's going to happen with all this stuff? Because we know rates want to make a jump again. Inflation, even though it's maybe a little bit down, it's really not down. We see the market kind of hot and cold. We see hot here, cold here. What do you think is going to happen in the next 6 months?
Okay, so let me tell you from my experience. From my experience, and before I tell it, let me share a little bit about my experience. My background is working in a distressed property. Distressed property means when the owners are going through a tough time and confusing time, and they end up selling their property. And I say that to share with you this, that in confusing time like this, there will be great deals that's going to be appear in front of us.
Yeah.
So we got to know how to analyze deals because there are a lot of confusing people right now. So if you're a buyer, look for that for those signals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For example, I mentioned earlier, high interest rate. Seller may have to sell. For any reason, they may have to sell, job, divorce, a personal reason, but they're selling, and that's a stress signal. And if you're able to endure that high interest rate with some cost back, some reserve backup for holding costs, this is the time where you can come in and negotiate.
Yeah.
Right? Because we don't have enough supply, and supply is going to be this problem for a very long time. Let me emphasize that. Here in Silicon Valley, the supply situation is really bad.
Yes.
You have to look at it as a macro level in order to see what's going on and then what is affecting the Silicon Valley market. I mean, we're going into a space that is very confusing. We have offices that are leaving empty, commercial space are going down.
I got a commercial space right now that's sitting, man. Anyone know?
Right.
You guys know anybody? let me know. Los Altos, 2,500 square feet.
You can look at our commercial listing versus our residential, and then it's not moving, right?
Yeah, everyone's
So we understand now is that it's very confusing, Tom. But this is where you have so many choices to look at. So start learning how to read red flags, analyzing deals, because if anyone's going to buy some of the best deals right now, it's going to be the next 6 months to 12 months.
Yeah. I mean, what do you see in Paige? Because you have a little bit different perspective as well, right?
Yeah. So for like activity wise, because the listings that weren't selling last year or the years prior, they're moving this year. But I think for me, what I've been seeing that was a huge indicator is on the staging side. So properties, it was really slow for me in the first, I'll say 2 quarters. A lot of properties that were sitting in the market,
they didn't even want to get staging.
They didn't want to get staging. Yeah, people were cheaping out on staging. I'll talk about that too. Is like people are cheaping out on staging now because business, whatever. But for the first 2 quarters, very slow. Properties are still staying in the market. They're getting extended. But I would say the past 2 months, it's been flying off. Like I literally staged one property last week, and then they had a cash offer, 10-day close. They're literally 2 days after, it's like, okay, remove staging. So now it's like, I'm actually behind. Like I actually, just having to catch up, just seeing, these are different areas. Some of these properties not even remodeled, but the buyer, they're still getting multiple offers. And then the sellers, they're they're coming down to earth where they're not waiting for, 1 or 2 weeks. They're like, that higher offer came in, just take it.
Yeah.
So first 2 quarters very slow, but now I'm seeing different properties, like from condos to $2 million price points where they're actually moving much quicker than it was in the first 2 quarters.
Just curious, have you turned down any properties that you didn't want to stage? Like, oh no, I can't even help this property.
No, I've staged every single one. I'm proud to say I haven't had any that, because last year I had them turn to rentals. A lot of properties turned to rentals last year. So I had much harder conversations with agents who were, there was a 60-day term. They're like, oh, can you help me out? Blah, blah, blah. I couldn't do that just for one person because it became, repetitive. But this year it was actually, they're selling. Even the ugliest property where I had no hope for, it actually ended up selling.
Right.
So it's very interesting. Yeah, you need a stage.
So I guess with that, you're saying that you're seeing more proproperties hit the market,
but they're also moving much faster. Whereas before, because before it was just sitting there.
Right.
They would go past the 6-day mark and it'd just be sitting there.
Well, this relates a lot because inventory is low. We keep talking about that. You're talking to distressed sellers because that's kind of one of your avenues to find deals. And I know as real estate agents, we work with clients that are always asking us, hey, how do we find a deal? Hey, can you find us a deal, man? No. I'm like, well, where can you find a deal? You're looking at remodeled homes. You're looking at the nicest zip codes. Like, where can you find a deal? But one avenue you were saying is distressed sellers. And it's kind of like deals happen where you find deals where people aren't looking, right? So
you have to have the relationships. So even for me with staging, I get previews of these properties before they come on the market. Right. And it's a huge indicator is why they're selling, are they going to do remodels? Do they have money to remodel? But when new investors or anyone that wanted to come in, their question is, how do I find a deal? Everyone wants the deal, but it comes down to relationships.
Right.
If you have a trusted, real estate agent that has their foot in the ground, that has the resources that can connect you to these properties, that's going to be the easiest way.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys this. So knowing that now, right? If you had to start over, how would you start networking and trying to put yourself in the arena where people have deals?
It's the numbers game for me. So if you do the calculations of how many deals you want to do a year and multiply that by the number of conversations you must have and divide it by the numbers of days that you want it to work, let's say 25 days out of a month, and get that down to the numbers, how many conversations you have to have a day.
Yeah.
So if you want to say, I want to look at 1 deals a week, then I got to make, 2 conversations a day. Pick up the phone, call the people that might most likely going to bring you a deal, right? Realtor, agents, or even wholesaler, right? So
but how do you have that conversation, especially when you're first starting out? Like, oh, hey, I heard you're a real estate agent. I've been thinking about investing. Like, I mean, we get these calls all the time.
Come to events.
Come to events, meetups, those type of events where...
So like Taste of Vietnam.
No, you have to be real, you have to go to those investor meetups.
Yeah.
You find a lot of new and seasoned investors who either have a resource for lending, or you're going to have somebody who is always has their foot in the ground, who door knocks and wants to connect you to a property. So you have to attend those meetings in person, go to those meetups, and then find the right people to collaborate with.
Yeah.
I think almost every time I go to an event, there's always something that's some deal that I talk about.
Yeah.
Because that's who we are. We love to talk about. And if you're talking to a car enthusiast, that's all they're going to talk about. If you go into a real estate networking, guess what we're going to talk about? No, we're not talking about cheeseburger. We're talking about real estate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And be where you want to get the data from.
Right.
You know what I mean? So come to your event, get to know somebody, grab their car, do a follow up, have a chat. Call them out on coffee if you think they have enough resources for you to, tap further. So I feel like that's where you should be. And the more that you get yourself exposed to these deals, the closer your goal going to be.
And also, be bold and introduce yourself. Stand up there and then just let them know you're new, what you're looking for. Oh, I'm a new investor. I want to look for deals. You're going to get hard money lenders, people wholesalers, whoever's going to approach you, because they know you're new, and then you're going to want to connect with them because they're going to have the resources you need. So just introduce yourself. And then people are just going to naturally attract, and you're going to align people on your team.
Yeah, you can't find deals all on your own by yourself.
It's a full contact sport.
Full contact sport. And we talked about it a little bit before, because a lot of us who maybe before getting into the industry, real estate, didn't realize actually you have to talk to people.
Exactly.
and the more you do talk to people, the more deal flows happen out of nowhere, or the more deals kind of fall into your lap. So what made you guys kind of finally get out of your shell? How do you start making those conversations?
I want to add something real quick before we change. A lot of people that ask the questions, where can I find a deal? Yeah. They most likely don't know when they see one.
Yeah.
Mainly because they not expose themselves enough deals, or they not expose themselves in an environment where they know how to analyze for deals. Yeah. So what if there's a deal in front of you and you don't know it? What if you drive by it every day and there's a deal there? Yeah. The front yard is not taken care of, and then the grass is tall. Yeah. The house looks like someone broke in and is still there for weeks, for months, right? That might be a deal right in front of your street. So how do you come? Like I said, that's a deal right there.
Yeah.
It's like there's a skill.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But to add to that, though, I think because we talked about this in a previous episode, find a mentor. Yeah. That's gonna be the easiest way. Intern, find a mentor. That way it'll help you get to where you want to be much faster, and save you on their mistakes. So just, a lot of times as you want to learn, do a lot of the free stuff, do admin work, follow them around, whatever it is, just to learn, be a person of value. And then you're going to gain so much knowledge just by doing that.
Yeah, right. No, totally. Because if you don't know how to analyze deals, but you're looking for deals,
you're going to lose money.
You need some wholesalers. You're going to get freaking shaved. You know what I mean? So
it's going to take you for a ride.
Exactly. So, some of the things that I'm doing right now, because we're talking about finding deals, creating inventory. This is how we make the real estate market and world move, right? I'm not sure about what you guys have been doing. I'd love to talk a little bit more about it, but what I've been doing a lot is open houses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Open houses have been my bread and butter recently. I don't even have to make calls or door knock. If I can do at least 4 to 6 open houses a month, then I feel like enough conversations. So, what specifically are you guys doing besides for the networking and talking to people, and what goes into the intention of what you guys are doing to try to create this inventory or find deals?
No, I think open house is definitely the top of the list for any real estate agent right now, because you are, like I say, we can complain about the interest rate, we can complain about the job market, the consumer spending confidence. I mean, you can complain all that, but when you're at the open house between 1 and 4 p.m. on a hot sunny day, and there's people walking in.
Yeah.
You know, that people is still want to buy a house, regardless, right? I mean, they can be somewhere else with AC running, but they're coming to your open house.
Where there's no AC, maybe.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, you know, it's funny because like when you hear the flood in Vegas, it sounds scary. But I pick up the phone and call my friends in Vegas and say, "Oh, we're fine.
Yeah,
We're okay."
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you
It's
know.
totally like that, and you don't even have to be a real estate agent too. As you were talking, I thought about it. Like, yeah, maybe if you can't make it to a networking event, go open houses. Talk to the agent hosting there, and see what their perspective is like. Make a connection there, and you know, they got deals coming too because people are coming to them. You know, neighbors are coming to them, right?
Yeah. No doubt. I love open houses.
Yeah. I mean, what other ways have you guys been trying to find deals? Because, for example, like I was telling you guys, I've been talking to so many people who are just starting out and like, oh, Vin, how do I get into real estate investing? How do I find these deals? And interestingly enough, there's a one guy that I know that you guys I think know too. Shout out Brian Tran, 50 Hills.
Oh.
But not to try to give any playbooks out, but an interesting thing that I saw him do recently was he just put out an Instagram story and say, hey, you want to know how to flip properties? Come here Monday, 10:30 a.m. I'll see you there. That's it. And it got me interested. So I hit him up and I was like, hey, I'll meet you there. And I go there. And what is it? It's basically an army of people who don't have any real estate experience, but we got high energy Brian here that's telling them, this is what we got to do. This is who we got to talk to. This is how we got to find a deal. Here are the numbers to call. And he literally made his own call data or call center on the spot.
His little army.
His little army with people who don't have any experience, but they got the script. This is the goal. This is the house we're calling, and have a conversation, just like we were talking about, right? And with that, I was seeing him, you know, managing, walking around like, oh, no, say this, say that, right? So all that to say, like, you're competing against all these people who are trying to find deals like that. What specific things are you guys doing with your teams? Sal Holmes, Chung Evan, like, what are you guys doing to find deals? You know,
for us, it's a combination of everything. Really.
I know you got an army too.
Yeah. So
speaking of this, one of the soldiers just came in. You know what I'm saying?
She just left.
So you know, we're pretty big on social media. So we have a lot of traction there. So now we're training our teams to go more dive into social media, be engaged in different groups, because I think that's where people are. You know, the attention's there now. You know, it's no longer a post where you boost it and people contact you.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to be more engaging in groups and smaller niche, smaller community. That's where we get most contact.
Yeah.
Hence, a couple of new agents that now join the industry. They're dominating. They're doing great. They're closing 5-6 escrow a month.
Yeah.
All right. And all they do is simple.
Yeah.
Say, I go to where people are.
Yeah.
You know, that open houses, Facebook group, you know where the people are and go directly to them. Exactly. Where a lot of people with myself, 20 year plus in experience, stick with the old ways of doing it. I now have to adapt.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's explain where we find deals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we have a little bit more experience, a little bit more backing. So when we expose to these deals, we know how to execute them better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can go to a property and they like, you know what, we'd like to sell as it, and say, okay, sure, we'll take it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So because we have the know-how to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think you bring a great point for another avenue, which is basically personal brand. Right? Like, yeah, your agents are doing the social media thing, but they're really also building up their reputation and their brand. I mean, I know you know this page, but recently, like, making the videos, conversations have been a little bit easier if they know of me a little bit, right? Like, it's a little bit through the door. I mean, how have you experienced that? Because your social media game is, you know, crazy.
No, yeah, I mean, just like personal branding and, you know, how you present yourself, your specialty, right?
Yeah.
And then so when people have a need, they know that you're the person to go to.
Yeah.
So going back to, you know, where to find deals, a lot of agents who have these pocket listings, who came across a distressed property, they don't know how to handle it. Yeah. But if you're somebody they know and trust, they're going to give it to you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure people ask you guys all this all the time, but like, oh, have you made any money on your videos yet? Or like, you know what I mean? Or, oh, you getting paid for your social stuff yet? But really, it's not really about that. I mean, what would you say besides for trying to get paid through social? What are...
I think it's more so of the referrals. Like they say, an agent that come across a property that, you know, is a deal, whatever, and that they don't know what to do with it. They see, you know, me on the podcast, or they see me on social media. They know that, oh, I'm the person to go to because they don't know how to do it.
Right.
So I have, you know, a network of investors. I have a team that can take that from, you know, to help them and partner up with them on that.
Yeah, totally.
So you just got to put yourself out there, let them know what you do. You know, you're not just a real estate agent. We also work with, you know, investors. We do, you know, all these things. You have to let people know that.
Yeah. And it's going back to why we're doing all this, because this is where people are getting their information these days. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's no longer, you know, people like to listen and hear things in details, and candid conversation like this, I think, helps out a lot of people as well. You know, one of the videos that I did is just super candid. And all of a sudden, overnight, we have like 2,000 subscribers. Like boom, 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 left and right, over.
It went viral. What was it?
Mini viral.
Mini viral, in a sense. And it's still going. I think we have over 70,000 views with 2,000 subscribers.
What video is this?
It's one of the Vietnamese video that I did about real estate planning. And I hit all the hot buttons that I see in our Vietnamese community. So I really, going back to, I want to touch on the new agent, how they get started, and you know, where they find deals. Do you notice that the meanings of the word expertise has changed in 2023? I want to date stamp this because hopefully I'll be the first one to say this. I think the expertise nowadays is not the school, the destination that you got. It's no longer saying, I don't look underneath and say, what destination did you get anymore, right? I know who their experts are. And the kids are growing up, like my kids growing up, they watching the TikTok and they think that person is an expert. Right? And that person didn't even have a high school degree, right? But I can't argue with him because that person he's showing to me makes millions of dollars, right? So what makes this person an expert? I tell you this. What makes a doctor an expert, right? To 40,000 hours, whatever it is, to practice, right? To practice this.
The white coat. The white coat
So
makes
look at this. I think the word expertise also meanings now that whoever that YouTubing it enough, learning it enough themselves, and then talk about it.
The subject matter.
Yeah. So if they talks about it enough, they become an expert. And I prove you with tracker records. I brought on a brand new agent. Her name is Maggie on my team, and she knows nothing about selling business. Nothing. Okay. And I say, I'm going to take you on 1 or 2 listings. We're going to take on the listing, but I want you to go on LoopNet, go all these websites, gather all these businesses, and all I want you to do is make 1 post a day that talks about selling a business. And now everyone go to her and thinking she's an expert. And she is the expert. You know what I mean? So I built an expert where Harvard took them 4 years to give them a destination. I built it in 2 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now really people are gravitating to information that are being provided by an expert. And where is the expert? She just got information that she thinks everyone have access to that information.
Yeah, I was just gonna say a prime example is that look at me, I'm looking at stats on Redfin. You know, I'm just going on regular Redfin, but because we're the ones that are looking at it and talking about it. We're the experts because we're actually the ones, you know, are really doing it. But all you really got to do is just open it up and read, check it out.
Yeah. So I'm not an expert as far as, you know, everything you think we're talking about. We're not expert. We're learning from our true case study and from other people's case study. So that's why at my team meeting, I'm starting to implement where we talk about problems. Because if I can learn 9 problems the last weekend, that makes me an expert in open house. Yeah. Because other agents only do 1 open house. Yeah. I had a knowledge of 9 other agents.
Yeah. What's an example problem that was brought up recently?
Everything, including the sign was set up wrong. You know, I only counted 4 open house signs versus a 9 open house sign or 15 open house signs. Yeah. And I was like, I was like, okay, that's a problem right there, right? So each house that our team implement, that each house that we do an open house have to have a minimum of 15. Minimum of 15. Okay? And then also too, you know, why you have so many contacts, why so many people show to your open house, but your last month conversion is 0. Why is that? So we talk about that kind of problem. We're talking about follow-up. We're talking about making the personal phone call because it doesn't make sense. You have 300 groups, but you close nothing from that 300 group. That doesn't make sense. Right?
That's a great point because I'm doing all these open houses and I'm getting hella leads. I'm like, I'm still not getting that much business. So I'm getting all these leads and I'm talking to all these people, but I'm not converting. And I think it's because I'm not making it fun, like how you're talking right now, right? Because, when you start to get into this mode of, I got to find deals, okay, this is the way I'm going to do it. And you, at least for me, I'm starting to, I look at scripts, right? And then I try to.
Because you become transactional.
You become.
If you have to have the personal conversation to really understand, to get to know them,
Right.
seeing where they're at.
Right.
I'm very personal,
Yeah,
man.
you have
I'm like,
to.
if you talk about my hairs, I'm going to
Yeah.
ask where you work.
It's gonna ask other things too, but you have to get, you have to relate to them.
Right.
Because I have, two separate agents on my team where we have the same issue. One's very transactional, one's very personable, and you
Yeah.
see the
difference,
disconnect,
yeah.
the differences and disconnect. So why is it that one person is, being able to convert and one's not? And
Right.
it's all down to the conversation. It's the same person, same script, different cast, but
Yes.
it comes down to how the conversation is going.
I completely agree with you because, like I said, when I was in that mode, it was just more like I was thinking of that
Yeah.
script. Hey, this is the flow
Yeah.
that I want to go, and I just want to hear the answer, yes or no,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But at the same time, you don't convert as much because
You're not uncovering
You're not-
anything.
you're not
You're gonna get
unco-
very generic answers. Yes,
Organic,
no.
yeah.
From what?
So I immediately realized or noticed after like I stopped putting so much pressure on the script and just like ask questions. Then you start to see a little bit more of the client and like really know what they're really needing, right?
Yeah. I feel like scripts are only for a brand new agent that needs something to
Sort of guideline.
like a guideline, a talking point,
Yeah.
if you will,
Right.
right? But I think in our business, in our career now, we should be more personal.
Yes.
Because and I ask them permission to do that. I say, okay, I know that you're struggling or you've been in this market now for 6 months. May I ask a few personal questions that help me kind of navigate you some closer to your goal, right? Yeah. And they allow me, then I start asking, right?
Yeah, because that's where really I'm trying to get to in this episode and in life is we're trying to make deals, trying to get inventory, and I'm talking to a lot of sellers, and a lot of these sellers are distressed. They're tired of all these other agents calling them, asking them the same question. They don't know what they really want to do and how to do what they want to do or where to go, right? So what are those questions or conversations like? Because we talk about asking questions and then being personal. You're really trying to get a deal, but how are you being personal to get that deal? What are the questions you're asking and the nuances of that?
So it goes back to the thinking that it's never the question, is how you ask it. Right? So I feel like when you ask the questions, I see people come to a networking event and they hold a flyer and they say, come to my open house, come to my open house, come to my open house. I mean, they're still networking, but it's how they're doing it. They very aggressive.
Right.
They very like force in the face, kind of look at me, where they need to have that personal connection first. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I feel like they're skipping the first and second base and try to hit home right away when they come to networking.
I
right?
see that all the time. Yeah. It's almost like they're asking before they're given.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And I think the whole mindset, if you're a first time person or in the business along as us, it's you have to give value first.
Correct.
Before you take. If you go into networking, why does this person want to even hang out with you? At least be a cool person if you have nothing to offer.
Yeah.
Don't just keep asking. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you get all kind of people that I feel definitely can brush up on their networking game, and you see them. And Paige and I talk about this too, where sometimes we very courteous. We come to networking, and people ask us questions, and there always be those people that ask the question and then don't pay attention to the answer. You know what I mean? Or they go on and go back to themselves. I'm like, okay, cool. You asked me the question, and you're sharing the most.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's some skill set that people need to start applying. And I think communication is the key when it comes into finding deals.
Yes.
Like you got to learn to communicate. You got to learn to ask the right question, right? And that's how it brings you to people say, you know what, I really like Vin, and I want to call Vin when next time I have a deal.
yeah, it's how you make them feel. Right?
Yeah.
It's how you make them feel after the conversation.
Right.
I mean, there's so many ways to find deals. I really just wanted to find specifically what you guys were doing, just because maybe I want to steal from my playbook. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys had anything else. I kind of wanted to talk about, how you find deals too, Paige, because I know you do cool stuff like the webinars. And,
Yeah, I mean, those are more, seminars are for the home buyer workshops is more for, educational purposes.
Yeah.
But with my new brokerage, it's something that has been, kind of not honestly different, but like instead from like door knocking and mailers and all that, it's just our investors and our connections, because you are say for commercial people, they're not going to do residential, so they're going to come across a lot of business owners who if they're distressed with their business, they might be distressed with their properties as well. So then they bring us those properties. So it just comes into relationships, who who has those deals that want to work with you on them.
Yeah. Any personal stories or examples from both of you guys that, like a good conversation that you actually was like, oh, it turned into a deal because, or you were doing this prospecting and it did come out to find a deal. Like any real life examples you guys can think of off the top of your head? I put you on the spot because I can't think of any myself right now, but
They always deal. I'm working on the deal right now, and it all come out from my conversations of what the stage in their life and what the most likely they're gonna do with this property if they not continue going, like for example, renting it out.
Right.
I can't say too much about the transaction because we're still working on it, and there's still a lot of moving parts. But it all come out from personal, and then it comes out like, hey, I want to downsize. I have a $15 million house I want to sell. And then all these things start to unfold, right? And it starts from a conversation of like, hey, what are you going to do with that now that you're wanted to be downsizing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And asking a very purposeful question.
I partnered up. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You're starting to sound like that networking guy that I know. You asked me.
Sorry. Real life examples, This is how we learn. But yeah, I was partnering up with an agent just to meet up with a buyer here, and they wanted to buy, so immediately the partner agent was like getting into the stats and why you should buy and this and that, and then all I was like, why do you want to buy? And then the conversation started to open up, right? But yeah, you're right. It's just being more personal and not thinking about yourself, right? Offering that value.
I actually want to share this story too. It's funny, and it helps newer agents who are entering the business because now they have a fair playground. I went to a listing presentation, and a seller asked me this question, and I say, Evan, I don't see you guys sold any homes in this area. This is a very prestigious community, and I don't see you guys in here. It's in the Fremont area, and he started bringing up our stats. He studied our stats. So I'm like, okay, great, wow. And who, if not us, may I ask who you're looking to hire? Like, who's your ideal agent, right? I was like, yeah, someone that established here, have the network, so and so. I'm like, okay, so let me break it to you. They're not working with the same client who's going to buy your house anymore.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because the buyers in this market are now different. You know what I mean? They work with the buyer who now no longer buying in this market.
Yeah.
Right? Because the way that all the things you mentioned about their marketing, there's nowhere people go in there and look for houses anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yes, I love Boca Tours and all, and I know that Boca Tour bring on 5 other people on the bus that will enjoy the free refreshment and show up the house, and maybe they have 2 or 3 buyers in their Rolodex. Yeah. But I'll tell you right now, I have 400 agents in my office alone, and look at our stat. We convert 65% of that from what we listed. Right. We work with a buyer who's buying now in this market. Yeah. Right? And we didn't get that listing. His house still on the market. You know what I mean? I call him back and I say...
He's not salty about it.
No. And I call him back about it. And we end up listing his other property.
Yeah.
And we have results already immediately. Yeah. Like literally, we contacted them, boom, boom, boom. Can I show them this? And then now we're putting an offer right away. It was like less than a week on the market and we put in an offer. Yeah. Right?
I agree with you.
He gave us the property that he feels is harder to sell, and it was backfiring on him. You know what I mean? And then the communication level, and we were texting him days and night. So I feel like I say, hey, if you're a seller and you're watching this video, don't ask the agent their stats, especially ask them what they're doing now, work with today's market. Because you know what? You most likely hasn't been selling a house in the last 10, 15 years. So technically, you're very rusty in this market. You need someone that brush with this market. Hence why so many newer agents now are dominating in this market. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not the older agent.
Yeah.
Not the seasoned agent.
It's the young bucks. It's the new guns.
Exactly. It's a different playing ground.
Yeah, and I agree with you because anytime someone brings up to me, like, "Oh, are you a specialist in this area?"
I know.
I'm like,
it's
no,
irrelevant.
because I work outside of this area. I actually have buyers that are all over. I just don't have buyers and sellers in this particular area. So my job is to expose it, right? And I just don't stick to one area. So it's funny when it sounds good. Oh, you work solely this area, right? But if you want it to get to the masses, you don't want to just be in one area.
Correct.
There's some truths to, if that agent that they're looking to hire is very active still in that area and doing all the things that I mentioned, then yes, by no means hire that agent. But you can compare myself to an agent that hasn't really brushed up in their marketing.
Yeah.
Then I don't think you're comparing apple to apple. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm trying to explain to a lot of sellers who are selling houses in this market and still not moving, mainly because they hire a seasoned agent that hasn't really brushed up their marketing.
Yeah, or a seasoned agent that came in a few years ago where they think just list it and forget it when it's not like that anymore, right? And it takes a little bit more effort.
I actually had just to jump on that, I had a success story based on marketing because I had a property, this was like 2 years ago in Evergreen. I've never sold Evergreen before, but the seller had met me, had followed me on LinkedIn. And then I was just like, it was a friend of a friend. I was like, his wife followed me on Instagram. The husband followed me on LinkedIn. And I was like, why did you choose me? Just out of curiosity. He was like, it's because I saw your marketing. Because I need my house to be maximum. I did all this remodel. I need someone that can, paint the picture to really highlight it. And all the people that's around my area, they're not going to do that. So when he told me that, it just
Smart seller.
Yeah. So he was just like, I need this. I saw your marketing on LinkedIn. I see you're very active. I see you do videos. I need someone like that to market my video. All the agents around my neighborhood, they've been in business for 20, 30 years, but they're not gonna do a video.
They're so shy.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where this thing is like being a market area expert is give and take. But if you really want to sell your home, you have to really partner with somebody that's gonna align with how you want to get it sold.
Totally. Yeah. If you're agent or not, get on video because that's how you start building relationships. And, even if you don't have any experience, make videos about that, right? Because then you're going to get more trust. Then you'll start to make more relationships and then deals.
No, I challenge all the seller to not look at when they bring me to a listing presentation. I challenge them one thing. I say, don't look what they did 20 years. Look what they did in the last 2 years. You know what I mean? Just look at that.
Yeah.
Because same thing, if you ask me, how about this? If you're going to do that, why don't you hire an appraiser that's going to look at comps of 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Would you like that value?
Yeah.
I mean, you want something within 6 months.
Ooh, there's going to be a lot of agents who are like, oh, man, I haven't done nothing in the last year or 2 years.
Yeah.
So I feel like just put me in that category and then we have a real talk. Because right now, you're not putting me in that category.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I challenge my seller to look at all the time. It's like, here's my stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what we're talking about when it comes to listing presentation.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, listing presentation that's trying to create inventory, trying to find deals.
Put yourself out there.
Put yourself out there. I think this was a little bit all over the place, but I think overall, we're just talking about how we talk to people and find deals, and especially with new events coming up, take advantage of that. Taste of
Show
Vietnam.
up.
Yeah, show up. Make friends. Don't just worry about yourself. Think about yourself, right? Make friends and be a human being, and the deals will come. Don't be so focused on that. So.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else, guys?
No, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, we had a great
Good episode.
Yeah.
Good to be back with you guys. We're gonna keep it going. I know we've been receiving messages from people that were like wondering where we were at and things like that. I didn't even realize people honestly were like wondering. So I think it's pretty cool and want to make sure we provide.
You don't really know who missed you until you're gone.
Yeah,
and
so we miss you guys.
Out of all the 2 people that have been following me, I hope this video makes you happy. We love you. And
Thank you for the push to come back.
I'm going to 7-Eleven later. Text me what you want.
Yeah, but follow us on all the socials. We're all doing our own thing, but we'll keep the episodes coming, and hopefully you get some value out of it. So, peace.